So welcome to Okechukwu Talks. We are going to be talking about the disease of selective hearing. And I think the reason why we chose this topic was because of the fact that we believe that it's a very relatable topic. The icebreaker, so it's not all serious. You know, she was the acclaimed finest girl in our unit, by someone I would not mention. Like someone I will not mention. Hopefully he will see this and say, okay, why they cast me. Jesus! She's the acclaimed finest girl in our unit. So, all right, so Kemi, it's your floor.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Kemi Gbadebo. I can't say my age, but I'm going to my 30s. I am currently would I say a tax tech specialist. I started in accounting and I got a job in transfer pricing. And down the line, I saw that, since that this tech thing, I'm getting very, very interested in it. So I moved on to the tech space, and currently I am a tax technologist, if I'm to use the word. Yeah, I enjoy painting. I'm an artist, and I enjoy everything that has to do with art, from painting to drawing to photography, as well as cinematography. In my spare time, I like sleeping and I like food. Yeah, I think that's the way to my heart too. So that's what I say, a little snippet about myself.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much, Okuchu, for inviting me over. Yeah. And the truth is also the finest boy in our unit. So
That's it. So she missed out the fact that she's a manager. So just so you know, let that also be out there, manager in tech, MG, tax tech. So she's one of the brainiacs and overperformer. Let's just put it out there also. Okay. We'll be talking about, the disease of selective hearing, right? And I think first of all, I think when we were sort of choosing what to talk about, I think maybe you could put or provide context to why, we decided to, discuss this topic, first of all, that we can now start, dissecting it.
Okay, so I think this topic for me, funny enough, how this topic even came to mind was I woke up one morning and I'm like, okay, when I wake up, a lot of things go through my mind, and a lot of the time I just want to pour it out. So I try to journal. And one thing I come to realize, and maybe because I was watching a particular video, and I realized that a lot of people tend to, when they don't try to understand, other people's, let's say, explanations. They try to pick apart the aspects that either they are more comfortable with, and you see them pick that aspect and then they run with it without even understanding the whole conversation.
Yeah.
So that's that aspect just, it just intrigued. It was very intriguing.
Okay.
And so I said, see, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this because it's an issue I see in communication.
Yeah.
A very, very big issue. And I realized that we all do it. We all do it one way or the other, especially in arguments. We do it a lot in arguments.
Yeah.
So that's how the topic came about.
So I was just, because I was going to even say maybe it's even human nature, right? A self-defense mechanism. Because think about it, you don't really want, maybe let's just say you are being scolded, right? And or maybe you are actually, being told something in general, and you're not really liking the way the conversation is going. So rather than hearing that, okay, the reason why I'm telling you this is because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Instead, you're just hearing, oh, you are 3, 4, 5, 6.
Exactly.
You get?
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
but as I said, we don't really like as human beings to be scolded or or we don't really like to be talked down in some. Don't get it wrong, even myself. In fact, let me even be honest, recently, somehow, someone has told me that I just speak some certain things, in what is being said, right? But as I said, though, you're not doing it like on purpose. You're just doing it because it's almost like you are listening, Don't get it wrong, you're listening. But because the fact that there's some parts you just don't like, or you're trying to address those parts that you didn't like.
Exactly.
Or you feel whatever has been said is wrong. So that's the reason why you now decide that, okay, you know what? No. I need to first of all solve these aspects. Then you forget about every other part that has been, said.
Yes.
That's what I feel anyways. But I don't know. Maybe you could give me, any reason why this kind of thing occurs really.
You're very correct, actually. A lot of people use that as a defense mechanism, especially when they are feeling a type of way,
Yeah.
Like a reaction to what you have said, especially if they did not like what you have said, or
Yeah.
they are not comfortable with what you have said. And as much as, yes, I would say it's a defense mechanism, I think people should actually be very aware of it.
Yeah.
Because what tends to happen is that the more one thing about communication is that it's not just your speech, but your feeling too.
Yeah.
In fact, that's the major aspect of communication, because there's a time I told my sister, and I said that, do you know that if you were feeling a little bit different, right? If you were happier, you wouldn't have reacted the way you reacted.
Yeah.
Or you wouldn't have picked what you had picked.
Yeah.
So it is both the speech and how you feel either about that topic or about that person. So I would say that like you had said, it's there has to be a negative. It stems from a negative emotion, maybe about something, and it might even be about someone.
Yeah.
So it might not even necessarily be about what the person is saying,
Yeah.
but the person that is saying it. Do you understand? To make the person feel like he or she doesn't necessarily know what he's saying, or you don't just want to listen to the person, or you just want to, pick apart what the person is saying and make sure the person understands that they are wrong, even though they are not. So so it stems from all that negative energy. I would that's what I would attribute it
So
to.
another thing is, so let's now look at it from this aspect. Would you say, to a certain extent, the environment and conditioning sort of makes people reason that way, or would you say that to some certain extent it is just an inherent human nature to be that way? What would you say?
Okay, so I think both.
Okay.
Right? I think both. And the reason why I think both, I will start from the environment.
Okay.
One thing I've come to realize is that we're a product of our environment, regardless of what we think we are.
Yeah.
Right? And another topic that I had given to you was the fact that you are influenced or you grow with your environment, either consciously or subconsciously.
Yeah.
Because whatever you watch, whatever you internalize it, and then it's programmed in your brain. Even though you might not necessarily see the connection, but there's something that you had seen that either makes you want something or does not make you want it. So let me give, for example, let's say you see a particular culture, right? It's either you want to take in that culture, meaning that you like it, or you might decide that you want to take another culture just because you have seen a culture that you do not like.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So it influences you regardless. And that's the reason why I say environment. But when we come to inherent, one thing about human beings is that we don't like being wrong. We don't like being wrong. We don't like taking correction.
Yeah.
We don't like being scolded. And especially in a situation where, you're back against the wall, and then because all those selective hearing, it stems from, it only comes when they are saying something you don't like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because trust me, if they are saying something you like, you're not going to pick it apart.
Yeah. Yeah.
You will embrace the whole thing, right? So human nature, we really don't like, being corrected.
Yeah.
Being disciplined.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why I'll say, both. But I think I would lean a whole lot to human nature.
Okay.
Because like I said, a lot of the time it is because it is inherent, you do not even know when you're doing it. You've done it before. I've done it before. In fact, I know the times that I've done it because, anytime I do it, I'll just be like, there's just this click that, Kerry, well, if it was in a different scenario, or if you were saying the same thing to someone, you would want the person to take the whole message as opposed to just taking a part of the message and dwelling on that aspect. So so I both, but I'm leaning more towards inherent. It's just part of humanity.
So if we even like look at it from this aspect, it's not exactly the same, but maybe something relatable. You'll notice that they have this proverb about how, you can do good all your life, but the moment you now do one bad, just one,
exactly, yeah,
that is what everybody will remember. This guy stole this thing. This guy.
And do you know that is actually the truth?
Yeah.
That's the truth. Because in fact, my mom she always used this analogy each time she wants to, she's trying to prove her point.
Yeah.
Right? In that moment where you're really upset that your parents are always right. Yeah.
I know.
So she, in fact, the message, in fact, that she uses is not even that. She always tells me, she said, tell me that if you have a drum of water, clean water, drinkable water, and someone puts, very tiny feces, very tiny, and then put inside the water, will you still drink the water?
Baba, it depends on the scenario. I won't lie. But I get what you're saying.
So that's it. So that's it.
Yeah, but so now, in with everything that we've sort of spoken about, how would you now say it sort of affects, relationships, workplace dynamics, social interactions? Like, what exactly would you say this does? Like, what's the impact of such, term, selective hearing, how does it affect those three? You can look, you can analyze it from any aspect, but how does it affect those interactions, basically?
I think it's a very, very terrible habit to have, right? And I think it affects relationships badly.
Okay.
I've had situations like that, with friends, and the outcome of the dynamics didn't really go well.
Okay.
Because it seems that, one person was hearing, and one thing about communication, communication is very, very crucial. It's very, very crucial. It's very important, right? And if someone just decide that, they're just going to hear a particular part of what you're saying, without having to understand either the context,
Yeah.
right, or even the whole conversation, then you realize that you're going to be having a lot of arguments. You're going to be having a lot of disagreements.
Yeah.
And that habit actually it scares people off. Let's first of all start from there.
Okay.
People won't want to have conversations with you. People would want to even correct you.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
People want to correct you because they know that by the time they bring up this topic, maybe they are saying certain things that are, they're really reasonable, but you are just picking apart and, trying to debunk what you're saying. And it's not even trying to debunk like the whole conversation, not the whole conversation, but you're just trying to pick, certain aspects that, even if the person made a mistake in certain aspect, that's the part that you focus on.
Yeah.
Right. So I think it's very, very detrimental to relationships. And when it comes to, workplace dynamics, the good thing about workplace is that, you have your superiors, and then you can't necessarily argue with your superiors.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
So there's always that level of respect. However, that moment where you have the habit of picking out areas that maybe are just beneficial for you, or you see a loophole in a feedback, and then you are just like, oh no, your superior is saying that, okay, you need to work on your business writing skills because they noticed that your emails as well as maybe your opinions are not professional enough. And then instead of you to maybe pick up the aspect that, okay, maybe I need to really do well with respect to writing emails or drafting emails, or even thinking along that positive aspect, that how can I even do well? You pick the part that, oh, they said that you are not doing well in your email or your opinion. Meanwhile, you now point to that superior that the last opinion that I did, right? She said that I did it very well. So I don't know why she, had to put opinion. Like, they just made a full sentence about your business writing skills. And they had just given few examples on areas that you need to improve on. And giving a context behind it. But you just decided to pick opinion, just opinion that you saw. And then you start running with it. Right. So it will really be detrimental to that person, right? And it's not really good for relationship, whether work, whether personal, or even you will not even be able to have relationship with your business partners. Because they won't want a situation where they are giving feedback or they are giving a particular criticism and then you cannot even take it properly.
But sometimes when you look at it from that angle too, wouldn't you say when you selectively hear some certain things and you focus on those weaknesses, can't it be a strength?
Not necessarily.
Because usually it depends on the action that goes after what you are picking from whatever statement that has been made, right? Like, so that's what I'm saying. So because it's not like, if you're looking at it from those dynamics now, won't you say, okay, I've selectively, someone is telling me something, I am choosing to focus on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, I don't understand the full picture, but the fact about the matter is that the action afterwards, what happens? Wouldn't you now say this is where you can maybe see some sort of strength if it is done in the right manner?
Well, yeah, if it is done in the right manner. And
I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
I understand. I totally understand. The question is, what exactly are you hearing? Right? What part are you and how are you reacting to it? A lot of the time when people selectively hear things, they don't like we had earlier discussed, it's always when their backs are against the wall.
Yeah.
Now, when your back is against the wall, you're not going to be hearing something and then you feel that, okay, what of if I do well in this area? Because you're going to be on defensive mode, right? And it all boils down to people's attitudes and character. There are certain kind of people that, when their backs are against the wall, and even when they selectively pick, your words apart, they try to understand better. And in fact, I feel those people are the wise ones, because in order for them to understand better, they ask questions.
Yeah.
You understand? They're asking questions. Okay, you had said advise your opinion. How do you mean advise your opinion? Because I can remember that, when I had given this opinion, I had done this, and then you even, actually, you said that it was really good. So I want to understand how, advise your opinion is there. It's completely different from people who are like, oh, advise your opinion. But I did advise your opinion, and then so it boils down to your this thing to character. It's now how best are you able to handle it, because different people with different character. And I always tell people that, you see, you need to be much more inquisitive, right, as opposed to jumping into conclusions. So one trait I hate the most, right? I don't know if it's okay to say it here. One trait I hate the most is people actually jumping into conclusions, because I feel that you had the opportunity to ask questions, to better understand. Like the example that we had given before, if somebody decides that, oh, they want, that aspect of, oh, maybe opinions. If you know that there's something that was wrong in what the person has said, right? Even if it is one part of it, the best thing for you, in order for the conversation to go on smoothly, you should ask questions, as opposed to having to select an aspect that you do not like and then talk about it. And I think that is the latter is really common. And I think that's the reason why, the title is The Disease of Selective Hearing, because it's something that is so common that people are not even aware that they do it. They're not aware that they do it at all. So, and, it comes in situations that are not so pleasing.
Okay. So now tell me, let's now look at this topic and now factoring the influence of age. So in terms of the age groups and technology, like how do they play a part, and how does, these two items sort of affect, this topic of selective hearing? How would you, assess that now? So maybe we could start with the age groups now, then we could go into technology, since you're in tech. I know it's tech, but you get my point. Let's see how we can relate, the influence of both, aspects. Yeah.
Okay, so for the age thing, right? I think time and time again, life has taught us that maturity is not necessarily an age thing.
Okay.
I'm very sure you have seen a lot of people who are teenagers, and they are very, very wise. They are way wiser than some people who are even 50. So I think when it comes to selective hearing, it's all age groups. It affects all age groups. However, I think the more mature you are, right? The more you are able to intentionally, right, understand that habit, or intentionally know that habit and try to change it. Right? because I know a lot of people just believe that they are mature. I mean, at the end of the day, maturity is always tested with how you're able to, handle situations. It's not because you're growing in age or anything. So once you're able to understand the fact that um, this particular behavior or this particular thing just tends to happen, if you're able to discover it and you're able to intentionally change it, because it's intentional. We had earlier stated that this attitude is very inherent in human beings, especially when we are back against the wall.
Yeah.
And funny enough, if in my lifetime, I can count the number of mature people that I have seen. I can't lie. And that's because of the way they are able to handle situations is amazing, right? The way they are able to take in feedback without begrudging, or the way they are able to handle, conversations.
Yeah.
It's really amazing. They are not necessarily, picking apart and trying to argue and trying to make their point and trying to, it's always like it's human nature for us to do that. Yeah. But you see those set of people, the mature ones. I won't say older or younger because it can happen. It can be anyone, right? But someone who is mature, you are able to see that aspect of them, able to, engage in conversations and able to take things holistically. And when they don't understand something, instead of having to jump into conclusion, ask more questions with respect to that thing, right? So I wouldn't necessarily say there's an age gap. I think it's just based on your level of maturity. And I think most people try and identify that habit. They should just try and identify, especially when you are, because it comes when you're aggravated. It comes when you're listening to something that you do not like. That is where your button is being pushed. And a lot of people just blank out. Like in their head, the first thing is either to react or to switch off. So it's how you're able to deal with the situation. I think that comes with maturity.
Okay. So I think in my own point of view, I do agree with you that maturity plays a part. But now you're looking at this spectrum of age groups also. You see that because it's natural for a child to sponge up everything it sort of hears. So you can imagine telling a child, or scolding a child on some certain things. There's a very high chance that he most likely will pick some certain things, right? So in a sense, I do agree that maturity, makes you reduce, or in terms of dissecting information, sort of reduce the effect or impact of, selective hearing. I just feel like at the same time, except as a result of environmental factors and immaturity and, the level of logical thinking, you could now say, okay, yes, the older groups now are more fallible in that kind of situation of falling victim to selective, because as you said, we are our inherent nature does not necessarily accept negative feedback. It's not necessarily, so that's why we try as much as possible to ensure that we're not being scolded. So we, to cover for all those deficiencies and the likes, because I do have some certain friends that, maybe because of the level of success that they have, they get, they have, and because of the egos that they have also, they fall victim to such, because in their head, they're like, who are you to be telling me such a thing? But maybe you have already analyzed the thing, said like proper 3-line sentence, but at the end of the day, they're just speaking like 4 or 5 words from everything you've said, right? So, but I do agree with you that maturity is what would, help, someone dissect information better. But I do believe that the younger you are, the more, fallible you are to selective hearing also. But now, so when we are now going into technology, so how would you now say, from based at least on your experience in tech or our general this digital age, right? How would you now say, technology or just this digital age, affects or this impacts of, selective hearing also, impacts, this technology. Yeah.
I think, uh, hmm, I don't want to say things that are very controversial, right? But I think, but I think social media. I don't know if it has, worsened a lot of situations. Okay, first things first. I think social media should be restricted to a particular age group.
Why?
No, not hating,
Why?
no shade,
Why?
right?
Why?
Because first thing, like you have said, that the younger generation, right? They are more prone to having selective hearing, especially when it comes to things like maybe you're making an argument or you are or you're providing a feedback, right? The reason why I said so is because I think there was a particular time when I think I was reading I was in the comment section. I'm always in the comment section. Shout out to all my comment sectioners who not who did not place their comments. We just read other people's comments, right?
Yeah.
And there was just based on the video, the owner of the video had written something in their caption, and someone, and this someone, by the way, I commented, and then when I read the person's comment, the person that came to my mind was, how old is this person?
Yeah.
Like, like how old is this person? And that's the reason why I do not attribute it to age, because I have seen so many commenters that by the time you go to their page, you see that this person is old enough to be your mom. And they are writing this rubbish, not even having to write rubbish, but they left the context. They just picked the aspect that they wanted to address. I don't know, maybe
no, but so how the fact finders can correct me if I'm wrong. But you know how social media is wired is that it is just meant to give you, like, your attention span is just, I hear, I get this, I move on to the next one. I get this, I move on to the next one. I get this, I move on to the next one. I get this. And as you're swiping up also, you're just getting that burst of dopamine, right? And you're just saying, okay, I'm just getting this satisfied. I go to the next one, I go to the next one, I go to the next one. I see the comments, I want to see whatever people are there, and I follow the trend, because the thing is about trending also, I put.
Yeah, but this was quite different. This was quite different because, the person, the video didn't necessarily even say anything.
Yeah.
It was the caption, it was the description that, people were commenting about. Because, there are a couple of videos that they just post videos and they're like, look down on my description to that further explanations or, things like that. But it was majorly the description. And I read the whole description and the whole caption on the video, and I understood what the person said, right? But then I got this person's comment, and it seems that the person didn't read the second half of the caption. The person just read the first half, and then the person jumped into having to write, and the person wrote a lot. And in my head, I'm like, why would you decide to jump, to fly into conclusion when you did not even read the whole thing, right? Because whatever you were, would I say, the thing that had left a bad taste in your mouth was, it was, the solution was at the second caption.
Yeah.
But you didn't just read it, right? You just read the first aspect. And you felt that, the first aspect is offensive because that is the buzzword of this. Everything is offensive, right? Even though nobody actually cares, but yeah. but it was offensive, and then you decided to, pour out your opinions, right, on what the person had said.
Yeah.
And so technology, I don't know if I think technology had made it very worse, because I mean, gone are the days where at least you have respect, I would say, for people. But these days, everybody just going wild. People are just wilding. Like, you see people having to, at least, even by the time you're looking at age, and when it comes to selective hearing, even though we can all say that the younger generation, they are prone to it. And the reason why I took maturity as opposed to age was because of the things I had seen, right?
Yeah.
So even though we can all agree that, okay, out of maybe 100% of the young generation, we can say 80% or 90% are prone to, that selective hearing disease.
Yeah.
But you now come to realize that it's not just when technology is involved, you come to see that even the older generation are in fact, a lot of them have that disease, and it is I won't say technology has made it. I think technology brought it out. It brought it out in that, before people necessarily, they always thought that, whatever the adults say is the final, they are wise, based on age. But I think technology, because we have seen what's going on around the world, the eyes of social media, you come to realize that it's not like that. So I think technology actually brought that out a lot.
I totally agree with
you. Apparent that a lot of people actually, that it's not even just when one-on-one conversation. It's even people that you don't even know. People that you don't know, and things that you don't even know about. But you just give your opinion because you found it very offensive. So I think technology.
As I said, I do agree with you, in the sense that technology, as I said, your daily burst of dopamine, right? You're scrolling, getting a brief, information, moving on. You don't even want to understand the context. It intrigues me. I move on, I comment, I move on, I move on, I move on. You're not really understanding the full picture. And sometimes you always rely on just that small aspect of information that's provided to you. So I totally agree with you. You can Google anything, but at the end of the day, you're not necessarily, doing more fact finding. Rather, you are just relying on maybe like some summary somewhere because of the fact that's been presented. You cannot even say, okay, let me verify this result. Just like us relying on, maybe if we're trying to do that, and to try and do that for maybe like an industry analysis that we're trying to do in our own field of work, right? And we're not relying on one small section somewhere that is not verifiable. It doesn't make sense, right? So I do understand that technology has made us lazy as individuals to sort of get a fuller picture of and proper understanding of something so that we can disseminate information better. But rather, it plays. So how would you now say, like, just to put everything to a close, how would you now say we can, if you want to advise someone, how can you control or minimize, or will I say avoid such disease or problem?
I think people should be more inquisitive.
Okay.
People should be more inquisitive as opposed to, like I said, having to jump into conclusion.
Okay.
And I think understanding basically and effective communication.
Yeah.
Very, very important.
Yeah, so I totally agree with you. So I'll just add also is that because because of the habits that we tend to have with selecting what we want to hear, I think sometimes
Yeah.
taking a step back also to sort of process what has been said and maybe so two things. One, you either you know re-communicate, or will I say communicate what your understanding of what was said for clarity to sort of
Yeah.
and maybe question, as you said, be inquisitive. So it's more like question the person and say, hey, so this is this is my understanding of what you said. Please confirm that this is the right, this is what was said and this is what is right, so that in a sense I can sort of have clarity on where that person that is communicating head is at, right? So it's more of
Yeah.
taking clarity, then at the same time taking time to internalize what has been said, to sort of
Yeah.
understand why this has been said, or what um you know in general, what the purpose of what was said, just like now you gave example of feedbacks. Now, if someone is telling you about business writing, you have to take step back and say, hey, so this person has once said that, okay, my opinion is good. So why exactly is this? Okay, let me understand it. Okay, let me look at it from all the dynamics, sort of understand. And if
Exactly.
that states where the person is coming from, you have to actually go and seek clarity, right? So that at the end of the day, so there's no misunderstanding and you sort of get the overall picture. So yeah, this
Yeah.
was a very great talk, and very informative from even for me that partook on this talk, right? So I do appreciate you, Kemi, for taking time to also share your ideas and opinions, with me and whoever is going to listen to this also, right? So I appreciate you greatly.
Thank you so much for having me. Take care.
All right.
Bye.